Hey guys, I don't want to waste your time with this video, so let's just get straight to the point. For anyone out of the loop, the most recent Brawl talk sparked a lot of outrage online over the cost of the new ultra legendary brawler Kaze. Because a brawler with a rarity above legendary that'll cost 5,500 credits is just unbelievably shameless when Supercell already has been releasing too many high rarity brawlers that take forever to unlock. Like, on top of this game's excess of mythic and legendary brawlers, now we'll have to expect an even more expensive ultra legendary rarity to tank free-to-play progression. This game is cooked. Everyone is complaining online except for the content creators because they're all shilling the Supercell for a paycheck, and the developers are just going to overlook community backlash to milk the players for all of their money as usual. Except, leaving things there doesn't really sit right with me, and in this video I want to talk about why that is, why I don't believe in most of the things that I just said in that intro. And if you hear that and are thinking, oh great, another paid shill simping for the Lost dev team, okay, before you leave your hate comment and click off the video, I implore you just hear me out for a second. So let me start by being fully transparent with you. I am in the Brawl Stars content creator program. Now, I'm not paid directly by Brawl Stars since I don't have a creator code and I don't have access to the dev build. Those things are reserved for the higher class of creators, but I do receive skins every update to give away to my community for free. And as a content creator, it is true that I generally want this game to do well and stay popular because that helps me get more views with my videos. So you could see me as being biased towards supporting Supercell and their game. But I don't think that's a very accurate understanding of my true financial incentives because sure, as a content creator, I want this game to do well, but my primary focus, my main goal, is to please my audience first and foremost. No one likes a shill, someone who glazes a corporation just for money, because it comes across as fake, and it is. You can't trust what someone like this says because they might be lying or overlooking elements of the truth just to make money. It's why you might be inherently distrustful when creators do paid promotions, because you don't know if they're being honest when they're giving positive coverage about the product. And as a content creator, I know this. If I were to make nonsense slop content that overlooks basic facts to be fake positive about a game that's going to shit, you guys will probably stop watching me. Viewers generally want to see authenticity, someone personable, that has some sense of moral integrity or character, someone who's willing to say it how it is, say something that reflects the reality they see, that puts words to the negative feelings that they're feeling. So as a content creator, sure, I want this game to do well, but if the game is doing poorly or does something that I don't agree with or something that's not right, my main incentive isn't to lie and say that everything's actually okay and alienate me from my audience. It's to be brutally honest and have some fun shitting on the game, say something that actually resonates with the thoughts and opinions of my audience, which makes my content more appealing to watch and thus get more views. And I'm by no means a stranger to criticizing Brawl Stars. My last video talking about the Toy Story collab was just an hour of me shitting on that update. And if you want your hate boner for Brawl Stars absolutely swallowed raw to completion until you finish, go watch that video, link will be in the description. But even though we can recognize that it's fake and wrong to mindlessly shill for something, the much harder pill, I think, to swallow is learning that it's equally as wrong to mindlessly hate on something too. Letting your opinion be defined as the blind opposition to something you don't like leaves you just as open to being incorrect as does blind support. Because stupid people can make good points, bad people can do good things, greedy game companies can make decisions that help its free-to-play player base. Just because you don't like an individual, an organization, or a game company, that doesn't make them automatically wrong in everything they do. And it's okay to recognize that while still seeing them as being wrong for doing those other wrong things. And the reason why I bring all this up in a video talking about the new ultra legendary brawler is there's a really interesting trend online with all the posts and comments talking about Kaze. Reading through what these players have to say, notice all of the comments and posts seem to reflect the same general sentiment. 5,500 credits is insanely high. It'll take months, if not half a year, to unlock this brawler for free-to-play players. The game has become Clash Royale by introducing more money grabs instead of trying to fix existing problems, more ways of screwing over the players in the name of profits, yet another case of the corporation screwing over the little guy. It's over. But none of these posts seem to bring up or even just ask the question, how many credits do players get in a year? How expensive is unlocking brawlers currently, and how is the new brawler Kaze going to change that? Are players actually screwed over? Instead, it's just taken for granted that players are screwed over, that we're not getting enough credits, and that it's too expensive to unlock brawlers currently. So before we go any further in this video, let's just take a quick moment to verify if these sentiments are true. And fortunately for us, this process is actually very simple, because all we really have to do is compare credit income to credit expenses for, let's say, a free-to-play player and see which one is higher. I've done a similar video to this in the past looking at the coin shortage, if any of you will remember. If you want a more detailed breakdown breakdown on my methodology and thought process, you can check that video out after this one, link will be in the description. But the main key takeaways that you'll need from that video if you want to understand this one is basically just that star drops make up a significant portion of this game's resource incomes and can't be ignored like so many do online when talking about free-to-play progression. However, since star drops make credit income inherently variable, and also because credit costs for new brawler releases vary month to month as well, we'll be looking across a longer period of time, 1 year, to help even out the effects of randomness from star drops and new brawler rarities. Also, because the equivalent credit value of unlocking a brawler through star drops is higher than its fallback reward if you already have all brawlers of that rarity unlocked, I'll give a range of credit estimates that vary depending on how many brawlers this hypothetical free-to-play player has unlocked. Although we are going to ignore players who still need to unlock rare and super rare brawlers because most people will probably have all those brawlers unlocked already, and those players that are still unlocking rare and super rare brawlers are gonna get a lot more credits per star drop than the players who have all those brawlers unlocked. And this is supposed to be a hate video, not a glaze video, so we don't want to be giving Supercell any free points here now, do we? To start off, let's first determine our credit cost to unlock all the brawlers in a year, our credit expenses. Looking ahead to when Kaze releases into the game, the past year of brawlers from that point will be Barry, Clancy, Mo, Kenji, Shade, Juju, Meeple, Ollie, Finks, Lumi, Taeyong, and Kaze. That's 3 epic brawlers, 3 mythic brawlers, 1 legendary brawler, and 1 ultra legendary brawler, totaling to 25,375 credits to unlock all 12. Now, this number can fluctuate year to year depending on the circumstances. Some of you watching may remember in my coin shortage video, the cost to unlock a year of brawlers was actually more expensive then, costing 26,550 credits, since from that video's perspective, the previous year of brawler releases had 3 legendary brawlers, but that period of time also came with a big increase in credit income from the Chroma Shower event that happened near Kit's release, and also Miko, a mythic brawler, was free, and those things helped counteract the higher than usual credit expenses for that year. So even if credit expenses for a year of new brawler releases can fluctuate, I think it's fair enough for now to say that a year of new brawler releases adding in 1 new ultra legendary brawler per year will cost around 25,000 credits to unlock. I mean, it's not like they're releasing a legendary brawler so soon after Kaze, right? And so now that we have our credit expenses for a year's worth of brawlers, let's take a look at how many credits players can expect to get in that year. A more detailed breakdown of the math that goes into this process can be found in that previously mentioned coin shortage video, but I'll also leave the math that I'm doing for this video in a pinned comment below. To summarize though, free-to-play players get 1,000 credits a month or 12,000 credits a year from the pass, while Brawl Pass buyers get 3,000 credits a month, so 36,000 credits a year from the Brawl Pass. If you collect all the star drops in the free pass and your 3 daily star drops every day, players can expect an additional 11,600 to 20,800 credits a year, depending on if you have all the brawlers except Kaze unlocked or are missing all the way down to epic brawlers. Assuming we get 12 mega pigs per month and you get max pig every time, although I know some of them are replaced with special events, but that should only give you more credits than what the mega pig is worth since special events are better than the pig, players can expect an additional 1,700 to 3,000 credits a year. Also, since the last time I did math for a YouTube video, we actually got a pretty substantial additional source of star drops from the new ranked pass, and the credits you get from that are all free, so we can ignore the pro pass for this video. From this new ranked pass, each one gives 34 star drops, 8 mythic drops, and 8 legendary drops, and I don't really know how many bonus legendaries you get at the end of each pass if you're free to play, so I'll just ignore those to keep a conservative estimate. But with 3 passes a year, a player who completes each pass every 4 months will expect to see 102 star drops, 24 mythic drops, and 24 legendary drops, or around 5,500 to 10,800 credits a year. And so totaling the conservative credit estimates from just these sources, in 1 year, players can expect to see a range of 30,900 to 46,700 credits, depending on if they have all the brawlers except Kaze unlocked, or are missing down to epic brawlers. Most players watching this video are probably sitting at around the middle of this range. And for any regular Brawl Pass buyers in the audience, you'll get an additional 24,000 credits per year added to that estimate, so your credit incomes will range from 54,900 to 70,700 credits. This is the point where if I had a code, I'd plug it, but I don't, so better luck next time, I guess. Also, keep in mind that these numbers are only from completing the Brawl Pass, the Rank Pass, collecting your 3 daily star drops, and getting max Mega Pig. That is a lot of Brawl, but for an active player, it's definitely more than doable. Most of the time, you'll just have to play ranked a few times a day to get your 8 wins. And also remember that this is still a very conservative estimate. These aren't your only sources of credits in this game. Even for free-to-play players, there's a wide variety of other credit sources available to you, like bonus star drops at the end of the Brawl Pass and legendary drops at the end of the Pro Pass, special events which the game does regularly throughout the year, like the recent P2W event or the upcoming Sushi event. It doesn't include the shop jackpots, which you can get once a month, or the new daily login streak rewards, and it also doesn't include Brawler Mastery or Trophy Road rewards, which are a pretty substantial credit income as well. And Brawler Mastery rewards technically aren't a limited resource either because we get 12 new brawlers every year. So even though yes, not everyone plays to collect their 3 daily star drops or whatever, all of these additional sources probably do counteract the lack of activity for most people. And the point is also that any regular player could make a pretty substantial credit income just from regular active play if they really wanted to. Like, we're not talking 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, grinding your life away. Just do your Mega Pig. And so, taking all that into account, looking at these numbers, you might be inclined to believe that the community outrage at the cost of the new ultra legendary brawler is completely overblown. The classic case of greedy players are wrong, Supercell is right, and we as a community need to take a stand against free-to-play players to defend the poor billion-dollar company. But I'm obviously joking when I say that, because things actually still aren't that simple. Because the thing is, even if everything checks out number-wise, it doesn't mean that magically makes negative player sentiment invalid. As I've mentioned before in my coin shortage video, players are generally bad at accurately assessing why they're upset, but it is significant when they are upset, since there's always a reason why they're upset. And for a game to thrive, that reason needs to be correctly identified and addressed, even if the content of player complaints themselves are misleading or misguided. And ultimately, players are experiencing something negative here. Something feels wrong about this new ultra legendary brawler. But if it's not actually the lack of credits, then what's the issue? Why is this brawler so upsetting for so many players? And to help answer this question, let's take another closer look at the cost of the new ultra legendary brawler. Because sure, 5,500 credits is very much unlockable for free-to-play players over the course of the year, but that doesn't mean the experience of 5,500 credits will be an enjoyable process in the immediate months following Kaze's release. Like, using my conservative estimate from before for a free-to-play player, ignoring a bunch of other credit sources, 30,900 credits a year means an average of only 2,500 credits a month, which means that it could take some players upwards of 2 months to unlock Kaze after the early access ends. And to do so, they'll need to play pretty actively, keeping up with their daily rewards, mega pigs and events, completing all their quests in the Brawl Pass, and now playing ranked for 2 months. You know, a few weeks for a Mythic Brawler is fine, over a month for a Legendary Brawler is kind of a drag, but 2 months to unlock one Brawler is a really long time, especially since unlocking an Epic might only take 1 or 2 weeks. And not only that, but there's a real concern that this Brawler is going to be broken or at least very, very strong on release. I mean, it is the most complex and most expensive brawler we've seen in this game yet. How could it not be? But Supercell needs to balance their game. They can't just leave a broken brawler in that state forever. They have to nerf it eventually. And they're probably going to nerf it before 2 months have passed. So the expectation then isn't just that players are going to be stuck for 2 months getting dominated by players who paid for Kaze, but also that they'll only have their turn at playing Kaze after the initial hype is over. The paying players have already had their fun, and Kaze gets nerfed out of the meta. Put another way, the free-to-plays and normies are stuck getting the whale's sloppy seconds. And to add insult to injury, also consider that if it takes more than a month to unlock the newest brawler, you know, what happens in that second month? Because Brawl Stars releases a new brawler every month, and they're not going to stop when Kaze comes out. So the following month after Kaze's release, we'll see another new brawler release, potentially overtuned with a paid early access, and for non-whales still stuck on unlocking Kaze, well, now they're just going to fall even more behind. That's going to feel pretty shitty, regardless of the fact that everyone will unlock all the brawlers eventually, if they keep playing. And I think this gets at the core reason why players feel so bad about Kaze. It's not about the long-term credit expenses versus credit income and how players can and will always catch up. It's that players are just tired of paying players getting an unfair advantage in their games. Every update brings new overpowered content that's locked behind a paywall. Every update brings new ways to lose to the latest broken hypercharge or brawler, and every update feels like the game cares less about skill and more about whoever has the luxury to fork over their money for a temporary unfair advantage. Even though the content is new, the inequality of it is exhaustingly repetitive. And this is a problem that's really hard to solve because making non-spenders feel like they're missing out is a core part of Brawl Stars' monetization strategy. New brawlers come out broken but with an early access paywall to get players to spend. New hyperchargers come out behind a gem wall and aren't purchasable with coins until after a week has passed. And I'm not going to tell you that that secretly feels good because the math says so and gems are obtainable free to play or whatever. That fucking sucks. And it's supposed to suck. You're supposed to feel like you're missing out on playing the new broken brawler if you don't feel like spending a bunch of money on a temporary early access, and you're supposed to want to spend gems on the new broken hypercharges to stay competitive in the meta. And if you don't have the gems to do so, you're supposed to feel that unfair advantage, because that's what motivates the spenders to spend. And more often than not, all this is done at the expense of the non-whales, because regardless of how possible it is for even free-to-play players to unlock all this content eventually, in a PvP game, someone has to be the opponent of this new content in ranked or ladder, and that someone is usually a player who didn't buy that new content. So not only is this a repeating pattern that players have come to expect, it's a disappointing and unpleasant pattern for anyone that isn't a whale. Players are expecting disappointment. And so Kaze, with a new rarity that's higher than any brawler previously released, with a complexity beyond any brawler previously seen, it's no wonder that players might be so averse to its announcement. Ultra Legendary represents everything that makes the game less fun to play for most people. But then, how does Brawl Stars go about fixing this issue without sacrificing a significant revenue stream? I mean, as a private company with shareholders to answer to, they are not going to do that. How do you address power creep in your game while still keeping new content interesting enough for players to want to pay a premium to use it early? Well, I'd argue that Brawl Stars already has an answer to that question, and they've been implementing it for a while now. Players just might not be aware of it yet. Because think back to the past 6 months of new brawler releases. Chaeyoung, Lumi, Finks, Ollie, Meeple, Shade, Juju. Whether or not they've since been buffed or since been recognized as being overtuned, the actual release itself has consistently been pretty lackluster compared to the brawler releases that came before them. Kenji, Mo, Clancy, Barry, Draco, Angelo, Melody, Larry and Lari, Kit, and so on. All brawlers that were extremely overtuned and meta-defining in their early access, all eventually hard nerfed after. And sure, we had Buzz Lightyear come out in between Shade and Meeple, which had a bunch of issues that we don't need to rehash in this video, but for the most part, the actual permanent brawler releases in the past 6 months have been pretty chill. And for the two brawlers that actually were really broken, Juju and Lumi, people debated if they even really were. That's not to say the power creep issue has been solved or anything like that, because new hypercharges being released right now still have all those same issues of being broken and paywalled, and the gadget rework also made certain spammy brawlers become so insufferable to play against, so definitely doesn't feel like the game is in a perfect state or anything. But at the very least, we can recognize that new brawler releases haven't really been an issue for most players in a long time. And yet, despite new brawlers not really giving a free ride to just auto-win your games to whoever's willing to spend, they still manage to stay pretty popular releases for the most part. Like Lumi, Ollie, and Finks are some players' favorite brawlers that Brawl Stars has ever made, just because their complexity and design makes them fun to play. The solution that Brawl Stars has found to the power creep problem is to replace it with a new type of creep, a complexity creep instead, making their new brawlers more and more complex with new abilities or effects that we haven't seen before, which keeps new brawlers interesting and exciting to encourage early access spending without making them overpowered. And who knows how sustainable this new complexity creep is going to be in the long term? Like, half of the recent 6 brawlers released all have their own custom effect. Are we really gonna expect every new brawler from now on to have that? I don't know, but you know what? As long as the dev team don't run out of ideas, it's at least better than the old way of doing things that makes the game worse to play for most people. And from this perspective, we can now see that Ultra Legendary is basically just the next logical step of this complexity creep that Brawl Stars is implementing, literally adding a whole new rarity of brawler that promises to be more complex beyond any other brawler we've seen yet. And for as much fearmongering as players have done on how broken Kaze will be or whatever, from the sneak peeks that we've seen, Kaze does seem to be a pretty complex brawler similar to how Lumi is, and that does suggest she might end up being really hard to actually use well, which would curb a lot of the new brawler apocalypse issues that we've seen with previously overtuned, easy to play, and easy to acquire brawlers like Buzz Lightyear. And sure, Brawl Stars might release their first Ultra Legendary brawler completely broken, and we can imagine how insufferable Ranked and Ladder are going to be if that is the case. But on the other hand, if Kaze does end up being more or less fine and not completely game-breaking, I think that would solve most of the issues players have with their upcoming release, because if she doesn't ruin the game by being a must-pick or ban, then does it really matter if she'll take longer to unlock? Like, she'll just sit there and suck up your credits for a while, and, you know, maybe in the next month when the new brawler releases, you can switch to that instead. Either way, the credits aren't going to fame, right? So, you know, it's, I guess, whatever. But hold on, Bedlam, some of you might say. You've made a lot of interesting points in this video, and your hair is really distracting and long, and I love you very much and will subscribe to your channel and hit the bell for notifications and like the video and subscribe and give you all of my money through super chats and donations. But you also keep saying that free-to-play players are getting enough credits and that's why Kaze is actually okay. Aren't you forgetting, though, about new players? Because sure, a free-to-play player can unlock all the new brawlers that release in a year comfortably if they actively play the game, but not everyone has all the other 90 brawlers unlocked. Isn't it still shameless for Supercell to add an even more expensive rarity of brawler when new players need all of the credit surplus they can get to unlock all of the other brawlers that exist in the game? And that's a pretty good question, kind viewer. Thank you. I love you too, and thank you for liking and subscribing and giving me all of your money in channel memberships and donations. Going back to the yearly credit income estimates, the range of 30,000 to 46,000 credits does seem like a solid number compared to the 25,000 you're expected to spend to unlock all the new brawlers in the game. But that's from the perspective of a player who already has all or almost all of the brawlers unlocked. How long would it take a new player to max out their account at that rate? Well, the nice thing is that the lowest credit estimate only applies to players who receive fallback rewards from having all the brawlers of a certain rarity unlocked. If that doesn't apply to you and you're a new player starting out who's working on unlocking a bunch of brawlers, you're going to be on the higher end of that range, getting up to 46,700 credit equivalents a year, not including all those other credit sources I mentioned before. But even taking into account the higher number, you are correct in seeing that the total credit cost to unlock every brawler in the game is still far higher than what this free-to-play credit income will achieve. Because if you do the math, the cost to unlock every epic, mythic, and legendary brawler in the game is 130,000 credits after all. And if we're working off a 46,000 credits per year income with around 25,000 credits in expenses to unlock all the new brawlers, that only makes around a 20,000 credit surplus in a year, which means it would take 6.5 years to unlock every other brawler that's in the game. And sure, it'll probably take less time than that with all the other credit sources and whatnot, but either way, that's an absurd amount of time to unlock every brawler as a free-to-play. How then can you possibly defend the addition of an even more expensive brawler rarity that'll increase expenses for new players? Okay, I have what I think is a good answer to this question, but chances are, if you're the kind of person to be asking that question in the first place, you're not going to be satisfied with my answer. But I also think that your complaint is valid, and it's a viewpoint that's held by a lot of players, so I think it's important that we discuss this, and you might find my case to be pretty interesting. So let's talk about it. You might not realize this, but there are actually two assumptions that are baked into the question, how is it right that Supercell is making it harder to max out your account as a free-to-play player? And the best way to show you what I mean by that is to ask the reverse of that same question. How is it wrong that Supercell is making it harder to max out your account as a free-to-play player? Because to the person asking the first question, the answer to the second feels obvious. Of course it's wrong, because 1, the main goal of playing the game is to max out your account, and 2, the game is supposed to let free-to-play players achieve their goals, even if it takes more time to do so than for a paying player. But that first reason does beg the question, doesn't it? Why do you need a maxed account? Because from a gameplay perspective, it's not actually necessary or useful to have one. No one plays the game cycling between all 90 brawlers equally, since the vast majority of players don't enjoy playing every brawler. I will never touch Tick, and it's not that the brawler is weak right now in the meta, I just don't enjoy the playstyle, it's not for me. Everyone has brawlers that they don't enjoy playing, and some brawlers also just aren't viable in the current meta. I bet you that most people who've been playing for around a year, even as a free-to-play, probably have at least a few maxed out brawlers that they just never touch. And unlocking more brawlers only makes that number grow exponentially. Not only that, but you also can't play every brawler in the game at max proficiency. When I play ranked, I cycle between like 3 to 5 brawlers, not just because those are the only brawlers which are meta that I enjoy playing at that time, but because if I try to add more brawlers to my pool, I get rusty on all of them, and I just play all of them worse. And when you broaden your brawler pool by that much, you also suffer more from choice paralysis, trying to scroll through your massive catalog of brawlers, and you end up wasting a lot of time in the draft screen. So most games of ranked, I just end up trying to make shade work in situations where it probably isn't optimal, just because it's the only brawler that I've been playing this season on that map, and it's better than going a more suitable pick that I just haven't had the chance to really practice. And this probably sounds really gatekeepy or elitist or, suffering from success coming from someone with a maxed account. And I could totally see that if I was in a free-to-play player's shoes, I might be thinking something like, what, so just because I'm not going to play every brawler doesn't mean I can't want to have them unlocked? It's my choice if I want to have a maxed account or not. And yeah, that's true. But let's not pretend that this is some utilitarian choice to want a maxed account when you can reroll quests on low power level brawlers for the Brawl Pass, and you only need like 10 brawlers to play ranked, and are probably only going to be playing 5 of them in most of your games. And you get plenty of credits to keep pace with maintaining those 5 brawlers even if the meta changes every few months. A maxed account isn't about the competitive advantage. You just want the satisfaction of having one. And that brings us then to our second assumption, that Brawl Stars should let free-to-play players achieve their goals, even if it takes more time to do so than for a paying player. And I actually do think Brawl Stars does let free-to-plays do this for most people. If your goals are to play and max out any one particular brawler, to get a cool skin that you want for any particular brawler, to play with friends, run your own club, reach the top of ranked, hit 50,000 trophies on a single brawler, that's all available to you as a free-to-play if you're willing to put in the time. Especially because gems are now acquirable free-to-play, you can get a legendary skin if you really want to. Anyone can get hypercharged skins from the trophy box. It's just that one goal, specifically the satisfaction of fully maxing out your account, which Brawl Stars doesn't offer for free. But why should Brawl Stars offer that satisfaction for free? Because consider this, let's say Brawl Stars does grant your wish. Now it only takes 1 year of active play to max your account for free. You can get 150,000 credits in a year as a free-to-play player, and for the sake of argument, enough gold and power points to max them all out too. Yippee, right? Except not everyone shares the same goals. Most people don't care to have every brawler max for the reasons I just stated. Some people don't like playing certain brawlers, some brawlers aren't strong in the meta right now, some people can't handle playing 90 brawlers while all at the same time, and sure, they might say like, yeah, I'd like to have a maxed account if you were to ask them. But it's also not a deal breaker for them. It's just not something that they prioritize like a completionist would. But in this hypothetical world, well, now it only takes 1 month of playing to get 12,000 credits. You can unlock 5 to 8 brawlers with that. And since we assumed you have enough coins and power points to max those all out, well, now what? From the perspective of a player who doesn't need a maxed account, they have all the brawlers they care about unlocked now. Why keep logging in every day if their account is already at enough progress to where they feel satisfied? Who would spend any money on these shop offers when you can just get that from playing this game for free in less than a week? And sure, for some people it's not 5 to 8 brawlers, but maybe more like 20 to 30. But you can still achieve that in this hypothetical world in 2 to 3 months, and then the same questions still apply. And in that case, maybe Brawl Stars would start monetizing something else to make up for their lost profits. Maybe they introduce a new power level 12 that takes a paid currency like gems to upgrade, or is time gated somehow and requires you to pay to speed it up, and so free-to-players just don't have as much access to it if at all. Maybe skins now cost a new currency that isn't obtainable free-to-play. Maybe creating clubs now requires the owner to buy a brawl pass. Maybe they go harder with early access content that makes the game less balanced and fun to play for most people. I personally respect Brawl Stars' constant decision to not restrict any particular game mechanic from free-to-plays for revenue. Even as a free-to-play player, you can unlock all the new brawlers released in a year plus extra, and you can max out more than 1 brawler per month too, as seen in my coin shortage video, especially now with the help of the Pro Pass which was added since then, and I like that about this game. And I'm willing to accept that the trade-off for that is that Brawl Stars will restrict the surplus of resources that free-to-play players will get, so that they can't, just max out their account instantly. To me, that's more than worth it. If you are the type of player that's bought into the first two assumptions, someone who's a completionist and your main priority when you play games is to max everything out, and that's how you enjoy playing games, but you're also a free-to-play player who is principally opposed to spending any money, you would probably find that this hypothetical world is pretty amazing. You would still be highly motivated to keep logging in every day even after you max out 30 brawlers so you can max out the next 50. But also consider that players like you make up a minority of this game's player base. Most players have spent money on this game and aren't principally opposed to doing so. And of the free-to-play players, most of them aren't hardcore completionists. They don't need to have every brawler in the game unlocked and maxed out. They just want to play their favorite brawler and have a good time with their friends. In the same way that a free-to-play completionist might assume that when it comes to conversations like these, maxed out players like myself are blinded by privilege and are only looking at things from our perspectives, recognize that as a free-to-play player who is also a completionist, you're also tunnel visioned from your own free-to-play completionist perspective. And contrary to how it might feel spending your time in online communities where highly passionate, generally more completionist, generally younger, and therefore more often free-to-play players like to congregate, you do not represent the majority of this game's player base. And the developers are not going to slash their revenue and make a chunk of this game's reinforcement structures less effective, just so you can max your account in a year for free, wrap a little bow on it, call it completed, and then drop the game and move on to your next one to complete. I mean, maybe a decade ago, right, before the live service model of game development took over the market, back when platinuming games was considered the ultimate goal and games would have self-contained sequels instead of a constant stream of updates and new content to unlock, maybe then your expectations would be more common and then more likely to be catered to. But that's not the gaming market today, and it's certainly not the mobile gaming market, and Brawl Stars is a mobile game with 8 years worth of content updates that have added up to the game that we play today. The window for a free-to-play player to platinum Brawl Stars has long passed. The only free-to-play players with maxed account these days are the ones that have been playing since at least the game's global launch, where they had enough time to keep up with all the new content that's been added since. And unfortunately for everyone else, if you want to truly max out your account these days, you're gonna need to pay a premium. And so going back to that initial question posed by this hypothetical viewer watching this who is a free-to-play completionist, how can you justify the addition of a new brawler rarity that increases player expenses? And the answer to that question, which you probably won't like, is because it's exciting. Because the new brawler looks fun to play. Because I like when Supercell adds new content that's more complex than anything we've seen before, because it makes the game more exciting. It keeps me motivated to keep playing. I like Kaze. And since everyone, free-to-play or not, gets more than enough credits to eventually unlock it, I think it's fine. And if you think that's fucked up, because Brawl Stars isn't doing enough to cater to their free-to-play completionist community, and if you can't accept that you, as a free-to-play player starting this game in the last couple years, can't have their account fully maxed out within a year of play, that's a valid perspective too. I'm not here to take that away from you. Everyone has their needs from video games, and being maxed out as a free-to-play player happens to be yours. That's perfectly reasonable to have that desire in the games that you play. And if that is a need of yours that you need fulfilled in the games that you play, well, I'm sorry that you have to learn it through this video, but Brawl Stars just isn't for you. Your goals do not align with the Brawl Stars development team, nor with the majority of this game's player base. You know, go play Squad Busters. That game is still pretty new. Okay, so we've covered a lot in this video, but there's still more I want to talk about because it wouldn't be a Bedlam video if I wasn't unnecessarily comprehensive and detailed about every single angle of this topic at hand. See, in the online discussion around Kaze's release, there were a lot of miscellaneous points related to the problem with Ultra Legendary and potential solutions to it that I think are interesting and worth talking about. Starting with the Epic and Mythic Brawler inflation, because, you know, Brawl Stars just has so many Epic and Mythic Brawlers, and they're not stopping. I mean, they just keep inflating and inflating the Epic and Mythic Brawler rarities. When does it stop? I mean, when will Brawl Stars stop inflating my Epic and Mythic Brawlers? And why are they releasing a rarity of Brawler that's higher than Legendary instead of fixing the inflation crisis? Why are they so obsessed with inflation? Honestly, I kind of debated whether or not to even talk about this actually, because, you know, on one hand, of course, I would love to jump on any chance I get to talk about inflation in my videos. But on the other hand, this argument kind of falls apart as soon as you prod it from any direction, because what does it mean for the game to have too many Epic and Mythic Brawlers? Why do the rarities need to be equal? Like, we accept at the very least there should be less Legendary Brawlers than other rarities, right? Or do we require that there be as many Legendary Brawlers as Epic and Mythic ones? Should Brawl Stars be releasing 6 new Legendary Brawlers every year just to make it match the number of Epics and Mythics? Or maybe we should keep the Legendary Brawlers limited because they're special, but Brawlers of lower rarities? More of those, please. Except that won't really be that fun either, because Brawlers of lower rarities are simpler, so they're easier to play, and every time an easily unlockable Brawler like that is released, it always results in an apocalypse, since the Brawler is just too easy to obtain. The last time a rare Brawler was released was Rosa, and she was also broken on release, as new Brawlers generally were back then, so the game was completely unplayable when she came out. Matchmaking was fucked, every game was 6 Rosas, every other Brawler besides Shelly immediately dropped to F tier until she got an emergency nerf in the same day of her release, which never happens by the way. And even after that, she would only see nerfs for the next 2 months, not just because she was overtuned, but because she was so easy to play and so common she dominated lower ladder. As we've seen time and time again with brawlers like Edgar or, again, Buzz Lightyear, any brawler that's easy to play and easy to acquire, as all the rares and super rares are, will be spammed in ladder. There's no real avoiding that if you're adding in more low rarity brawlers, especially if you're going to be releasing 6 new ones every year just to keep pace with the Mythic and Epic brawler inflation. And let's not forget that releasing simpler, lower rarity brawlers is just more boring. Do you really want another brawler with the same complexity as Rosa? A part of the reason why all the new brawlers made right now are higher rarity is because the newer brawlers are all more complex, and complex brawlers are more fun to play. Lumi and Ollie, as mentioned before, are some people's favorite brawlers ever released because of how complex and expressive their kits are. The most recent brawler that was released with a rarity lower than Epic was Gus, and arguably he shouldn't even be super rare to begin with. His complexity feels more like at least the other Epic brawlers. I mean, just compare his kit, especially with his upcoming hypercharge to Shade. He's arguably even more complex than a Mythic brawler like Doug with his charge bar. So mass releasing rare, super rare, and legendary brawlers for the next 3 years is a bad idea, I think. But let's say we still want to see new brawlers of other rarities for whatever reason. How about making a new brawler rarity that's in between epics and mythics? Problem solved, right? Now we can only release brawlers of that rarity for the next 30 months to even it out with the surrounding brawler rarities. Yay! Or maybe we should reclassify a bunch of existing brawlers to that new rarity, and that will make a bunch of mythic brawlers cheaper, but also make their mastery rewards give less coins, and also make a bunch of epic brawlers more expensive. And who knows how they're going to rebalance brawler mastery rewards anyways. I mean, maybe we'll be worse off in terms of mastery rewards and credit costs than we were before. And who knows why we're even doing this in the first place when this rarity inflation issue doesn't even have an impact on gameplay. You know, it's not lost on me that proponents of fixing this rarity inflation issue probably have a really big overlap with the free-to-play completionist community who just wanted to cost less credits to unlock every brawler and are hoping that by maybe shoehorning in a rarity under Mythic, it'll make credit costs cheaper, or maybe by convincing Brawl Stars to release more super rares and rares, the overall credit costs will be lower and they'll be closer to getting maxed out. It's a similar case to the people who want a credit bank feature instead of fame, although in that case, it's the people who already have every brawler unlocked that are complaining, and the only reason they're complaining is just because they don't want to wait to unlock the new brawler along with everyone else. But I could see Brawl Stars actually adding in some version of a credit bank, although I don't think it makes sense to let players remove credits from their fame like some people were suggesting. Instead, maybe like a credit wallet or a bank that lets you store up to 2,000 credits that's separate from fame could be a nice gesture, and then you could let players choose what to do with those credits, maybe put it towards fame or save it for the next brawler. The dangerous thing that might happen though if Supercell does honor this request is they might just remove your ability to store credits in Brawler Masteries and Trophy Road entirely. Just to streamline that process, because it is kind of annoying to have to go through and manually claim that shit, and that might be the justification that they use to remove a player's ability to store credits in other ways, because now they're adding in a new credit bank that lets you store the credits instead. And that might piss a lot of you off in the process. Like, sure, you can have your credit bank, but we're gonna take away your ability to store credits like we did with previous season rewards. So yeah, I guess be careful what you wish for, but like, either way, you know, the credit bank thing is such a non-issue. It's such an obvious non-issue to me. Like, yeah, is fame sucking up your credits annoying? Sure. Does it matter? Can you still unlock every new brawler that comes out in the game as a free-to-play anyway? Yeah, especially if you're at the point where you have fame unlocked. Like, bro, you have every brawler unlocked in the game. You'll be fine. And with that, my voice is giving out, so I think that's about time to call it for this video. We've covered basically everything that I had to say on this topic. Thanks for watching the video, and hope you enjoyed. You could kind of see this as the spiritual successor to my coin shortage video that I made a while back. If you couldn't tell, I've mentioned it a bunch of times in this video. But that video touches on a lot of similar topics, and I think could be an interesting watch if you are new to this channel and haven't seen that video before, but really enjoyed this one. You know, maybe you could go check it out and watch all the ads, please. And also, to address the elephant in the room, you know, sorry about dropping my face reveal on a video like this out of nowhere. But I figured if I did piss anyone off with this video, you know, at least now they'd have a face to associate with the hate. Doing you all a favor, babes. And also, this way I don't have to edit or record as much footage for the background footage of this video, and instead you could just watch me talking. And I figured that would be kind of a win-win, you know? Except, this is my first time doing a scripted video with a facecam, and I'm realizing it's actually really fucking hard. Like, I have my script down here, camera's up here. You try reading a fucking 20-page script from memory. You can't, and I can't, so I'm trying to like memorize the lines and then say it up. It's like, it's bad. It's hard. I don't know how to do this properly. But it's like too late now because I've already committed to trying to shoehorn my face into this, and I'm trying to get this video out as soon as possible so I can go back to working on another big project that I've been spending a lot of time on that's almost done, so hopefully that'll come out soon. And for all of my Brawl Stars haters out there, if this video was a little lackluster for you, you wanted more hate, more vitriol, you know, maybe you could look forward to that one, because that one could be considered a type of Brawl Stars hate video. You know, hope that's got you absolutely leaking and shaking in anticipation. And, you know, if you enjoyed seeing my face in this video, maybe I can do this again in the next one. Just let me know. Or if you hated seeing my face here, maybe I will never show my face again in a video on this channel. And you could just let me know that as well. Oh, and one last thing, I've been told that I don't plug my second channel enough on this channel, because I do have one. I've been doing daily uploads, actually. I've been doing daily uploads for a while now. We'll see how long that lasts. If you want to see me playing games and just saying whatever bullshit comes to my mind while playing, maybe you'd be interested in checking that out. I will warn you, though, that my humor is a little crass, and I do swear, so You know, the shit ain't Kairos time, little bro. Put the headphones on when you're with the family. And with that, I am actually for real done with this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to my channel members for your support. I've actually been thinking about reworking my channel membership rewards for some time now. I don't have any real ideas on it yet. If you guys have any ideas, you know, let me know. Or I could even open a Patreon and you guys could get like director's cut videos or something. I don't fucking know. Just let me know. But that's gonna be for me. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to say that I love your t-shirt today. It looks, been staring at it this whole video. It actually looks pretty fabulous. You really got that shit on. Looking fresh, bro. Take care of yourselves. I love you. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Peace.